Hello and welcome to another standard video. Last week I featured a 4-color control deck. Today it's time to go all the way up to 5 colors in this converge control deck. One of the payoffs for converging all 5 colors is together as one. A 6-mana sorcery where a target player draws X cards, we get to deal X damage to any targets, and we gain X life, where X is the number of colors of mana spent to cast it. So the goal is to converge all 5 colors, so we now get to draw 5, deal 5, and gain 5 life. So this is basically a Jeskai ultimatum in disguise, a card that's not in standard, but we also get to pair it with Jeskai Revelation, which is in standard and kind of does it all. As a 7-mana instant, can bounce a spell or permanent back to their owner's hands, and then we get to deal 4 damage, gain 4 life, draw 2 cards, and make a pair of 1/1 Prowess Monk tokens, so those can also eventually help close out the game when paired with all the extra burn spells in the deck. So these are the real payoffs that we're trying to ramp into, and we also have Arcane Omens as another converge card, where now the opponent has to discard X cards, where X is the number of colors of mana spent to cast it, so that's another nice one. And then to help get to 6 and 7 mana, we do have a pair of ramp artifacts. Not only do we have the Tablet of Discovery, but we're also running the Ancient Cornucopia. So the Cornucopia, excellent for getting all 5 colors involved, and it also gains a bunch of life, not with the Converge sorcery, since that one's colorless, but we do a bunch of other multicolored spells in the deck that can consistently gain life off the Cornucopia. And then the Tablet of Discovery, while it only makes red mana, can also make double red to cast our instant and sorcery spells, so this can help ramp out a converged together as one. And since this is a 6-mana spell, it's fine if we double up on red mana. We can still cast this with a full converge on turn 4 if we play the turn 3 tablet, assuming our other lands work out. And then this can also provide a bit of value when it enters by milling a card that we get to play until end of turn. Can even play lands if we haven't played one yet. And then the rest of the deck is just a wide range of interaction, often multicolored spells. So at 1 mana I've got 2 copies of Burst Lightning as a cheaper burn spell, and then Lightning Helix can deal 3 and gain 3 life. And then Cease Desist also fills a bunch of different roles in the deck, as Cease can easily be cast thanks to the hybrid mana early on to gain 2 life and draw a card, and it can also exile up to 2 cards from a graveyard, so having some main deck graveyard hate is pretty important for a control deck. And then occasionally we can also cast the Desist half instead, blowing up all artifacts and enchantments. Can also come up when facing some of the artifact decks with the Synthesizer, where you want to just destroy everything in play, even if it means losing some of your own artifacts. That's usually worth it. And there's some other matchups like the Lesson decks, where they usually have a nice mix of enchantments and artifacts that you want to destroy. And then it's also an 8-mana card in the graveyard for collect evidence purposes, and we do have a 1-of Urgent Necropsy, which is another versatile answer that can hit both creatures, artifacts, enchantments, and planeswalkers, potentially all at once if we have enough collect evidence going on, so that's another reason to include the split card here. Then at 3 mana we've got our artifacts, as well as a Maelstrom Pulse, also very good at dealing with some non-creature permanents, especially if our opponent has multiples in play. Then at 4 mana, Inevitable Defeat is another very flexible answer that can gain us more life. And then we mentioned the Necropsy, and then our only real sweeper is the Ill-Timed Explosion, which can still just draw 2 cards in the control matchups where we don't need the board wipe. And then we mentioned everything else here with the Arcane Omens, Together as One, and Jeskai Revelation. And another reason why this deck can exist is the mana fixing from Great Hall of the Biblioplex, which is also a win condition once we animate it into a creature that gets pumped whenever we cast an instant or sorcery spell. So this is also a very important piece of the puzzle. The remaining mana base includes a lot of the slow lands, which have been introduced again in Secrets of Strixhaven. So these are awesome mana fixing that don't cost us any life once we have enough lands in play. I've got a 1-of Multiversal Passage, since we usually want to avoid drawing too many basic lands and passages when trying to converge a bunch of different multicolored spells. I do have a 1-of Mountain and Forest, since red and green are really the foundation of the deck to help us cast the Tablet and Ancient Cornucopia. Couple of shock lands so we can have untapped mana on turn 2 more often, and then a 1-off mix of all these 3-colored tap lands with a Nightclub, Urban Retreat, Bivouac, Citadel, Mystic Monastery, and Opulent Palace. Gone are the days of the cycling lands, unfortunately, but these are still pretty important mana fixing, and they avoid having to take a bunch of damage off Starting Town, for instance, which is another option, of course, for 5-color mana bases. So yeah, that's our deck. Now let's jump into some games and see how the deck does. Okay, we're on the draw. We have only 2 lanes, although we're pretty likely to draw more. I can cast Helix and Cease to dig a bit deeper as well. So I don't hate this. But if I miss to draw a lane for a few turns, we could of course fall behind. Opponent mono white, maybe the Aura deck. And yep, there's the vendor. Not opposed to main phasing a Lightning Helix to make sure there's no protection spells to blow us out. Did draw the Cascade, so that's great. And now Aerialist does have Ward 2, so a bit harder to interact with. Although Inevitable Defeat can ignore the ward, still doesn't get around Hexproof. So now I think we main phase Cease, in case I draw tap lane for turn. Alright, Cornucopia is gonna be nice too. Could get exiled by Sheltered by Ghosts, that's about it. So we should have enough life gain where I can take a few hits off the Aerialist. And then Arcane Omens could be effective, making the opponent discard their entire hand pretty much. And land is useful. So yeah, probably just tap out for Cornucopia and play tap Blood Crypt. I don't think I need to keep up Helix since we can't target the Aerialist anyways. Could of course target my opponent just to gain a bit of extra life, but that doesn't seem needed. So we'll see if they're willing to Sheltered by Ghosts here. And they are. So I may be a mana short of casting the Omens. The Necropsy, especially with Cease Desist fueling Collect Evidence, can also get rid of some enchantments. They do have a mana up, so they could still have Shard Mage's Rescue to protect from Inevitable Defeat. And Burst Lightning the draw. So, interesting spot. I could try to Burst Lightning the smaller Aerialist just to test out the waters, to see if they have a Shard Mage's Rescue in the first place. Could go for Necropsy on the enchantment. Wouldn't be able to pay the ward to destroy the creature. And then I'll get back the Cornucopia if we target the Sheltered by Ghosts. And then next turn, I guess we don't care about Arcane Omens all that much, although it is a way to maybe clear a Shard Mage's Rescue. And then assuming I still have enough life, I can take another hit and then set up the defeat. Yeah, I guess either way we'll pass. Necropsy is an instant. Opponent's gonna play the Weaver. So now I've got an extra creature I can destroy with a Necropsy. Yeah, let's try it. So, no artifacts, 1 creature, and then enchantments Sheltered by Ghosts. Could also go for Ethereal Armor, to be fair, but the extra mana will be useful. And then I guess we just need to exile the Helix. Yeah, there's a Shard Mage's Rescue, so that worked. So unless they've got another one, I now have the opportunity to cast Inevitable Defeats on the bigger Aerialist. Can also wait for them to give it Double Strike, although I guess that's in 2 turns. So, yeah, take my turn. Could have also end of turn cast a Burst Lightning just to gain 1 life, did not seem necessary. Where would they put the counter? I guess probably not on the larger Aerialists. So maybe I'm still better off just casting the defeat now. And then, let's see, looking at my mana. I guess I don't have any actual white source. But I can keep a red up with Cornucopia. And gain 3, that works. Alright, so they did not have a second rescue. And then now I can maybe wait for them to target a Spider to Burst Lightning it. They might go for Aerialist instead. Okay. And Feather, I can now respond. And gaining 1 life. Did they top deck a rescue for turn? That would be pretty funny. They actually did. So they had the Feather of Flight in hand, top deck Shard Mage's Rescue. So had I waited on going for inevitable defeat, I would have gotten blown out. Now we just together as one take out the Spider. And then we can take a double strike hit. Discard the Nightclub maybe. Or the Arcane Omens. I guess something like Feather into Ethereal Armor could still kill me, but it's another Aerialist, so now the Explosion can clean up. Alright, so how do we want to sequence? Could play a Tablet first, and then still Explosion. And gaining 2. And I can discard... I guess I have to get rid of something expensive here. Probably ditch Together as one, keep Revelations, so we can get the game over with. Helix is another 5 life here, but we can maybe save it to trigger Prowess. Okay, so play another Cornucopia, should leave enough mana to still Revelation. 4, 5, 6, 7, can play this tapped. And it's going to be another Vendor. And a land. Alright. So, can bounce a land. Could also bounce my own Tablet, which is actually a play I haven't made before, so let's try it. Deal 4 to the Vendor. Replaying Tablet can trigger Prowess, but our opponent scoops it up, giving us only 1 Monk token here somehow. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the play. We've got a functional looking hand. If I play Palace, I wouldn't be able to Helix on 2, but I think that's a fine compromise. Got some Graveyard Hate, some Ramp and Life Gain, and then just missing some big card draw effect, basically. Opponent on the Artifact deck. Alright, so we can maybe count on Desist to blow up all artifacts. Would also destroy the Cornucopia, so have to think twice about deploying it. But now Arcane Omens could be awesome. Next turn make the opponent discard 5 cards. And a Repurposing Bay. Yeah, let's go for it. Opponent gets to keep 1 card, discard the rest. A bunch of Star Cages gone, Spring-Loaded Saw Blades, another Relic, and a land. And they're gonna Repurposing Bay to get the Synthesizer, most likely. Yep. So that's their win condition. Okay, so now I have to decide if I want to play another Cornucopia. I don't think I do. So this might be play a tap land, maybe plan to animate Great Hall, and then let my opponent overextend with more artifacts. And then try and get them with Desist. So the bricks is going to be upgraded by Repurposing Bay to maybe get another Synthesizer, and then I think it's time to Desist. Otherwise I could die out of nowhere if her opponent can get the Fire Crystal to make more tokens and give them haste. But yeah, they're going to have a hard time recovering from losing both Synthesizers. Not impossible, mind you, since it's not like I'm applying any meaningful pressure. And then we still have Cornucopia and Tablet to build up our mana once again. Opponent had another repurposing bay. Alright, so maybe start with tablets, and then I can still play cornucopia afterwards if I tap carefully. Gotta leave green up. And then I'll wait on Lightning Helix. So now I can maybe animate another Hall. Attack and Helix face. And our opponent scoops it up. Awesome. Yeah, discard 5 into blow up all your artifacts was good enough this game. Sweet, on to the next one. Alright, we're on the draw. We've got a slow start, but we do have some ramp to set up together as one to hopefully stabilize. And then reasonable mana. Opponent with Starting Town Headliner, so more aggressive deck. And now Dark Confidence, interesting. So I want to try to answer that as soon as possible to shut off the extra card draw. So next turn maybe Cornucopia, and then turn after we can defeat. Opponent finds a Firebrand at the cost of 1 life. There may be some additional Goblin synergy, yeah, as we see the Curse Crafter. So, yeah, we could be dead before we manage to cast our stabilizing cards. I think I still like Cornucopia over Tablet. Tablet, I guess, lets me together as one next turn. That might be worth it. Versus Cornucopia into defeat, which can gain 6 life. And this would gain just 5 at most. But also draws a bunch of cards to maybe find a sweeper. And then I guess we're also closer to playing the Revelation. And there's a small chance I mill a Burst Lightning. So let's see if we're dead. All out attack. Fall to 6. And a Taster of Wares. So I have to reveal 3 cards, or 4 cards rather. So I guess I don't show them the big payoffs. They probably take the defeat. Which they can now also cast. For as long as they control the Taster of Wares. So I probably have to take that out now. Did find the explosion, but I don't know if that's going to be enough. Discarding 2 cards. Can also look into discarding expensive spells to set up Collect Evidence, but we should be good on that already. So any haste creature or burn spell and I'm dead pretty much. Another Dark Confidence. So they can sack the Headliner to target their own creature if they'd like, to trigger the Curse Crafter. Let's see. Yeah, they could just use the Headliner on itself. If I cast Explosion to wipe the board, I die because of Curse Crafter. So that doesn't work. So what are my options? I'm 1 mana short of going Necropsy on Curse Crafter into the explosion, which would have been nice. Can go Cornucopia into explosion, I guess. And then I would gain 2 life up to 4. So then I would technically be alive if they don't figure out that they have lethal on board. Alright, I guess that's the play. Once I gain 2 life, I could be safe. And then I discard the Necropsy and a land. Alright, so we might still be in it. Falling to 1. Next turn I can gain a bunch of life. Another Dark Confidant is fine. And Intimidation Tactics is acceptable. So we might be turning the corner now. I think the safest play is Revelation, as that'll gain more life of Cornucopia as well. So bounce your starting town, deal 4 to Dark Confidence. And then can keep up Burst Lightning. So yeah, if they realized they could use Headliner on their own creature, they actually could have won here. But I'll take it, on to the next one. Alright, we're on the draw with a keepable hand. Got every color except black, so cannot cast a defeat just yet. Now with Cornucopia we might be able to. And our opponent on Lessons. Gran gets to loot, discarding the counterspell. And plays a talent. So they're off to a good start. Hopefully we're not too far behind and can still stabilize here. Second lesson discarded. And then Cornucopia is a more important one to resolve, maybe? Although I guess we did find black mana now with a Great Hall. So, I mean, I'll go with the tablets. If they counter this, it's not a disaster. Milled another tablet, which I'm not casting here. Defeat is uncounterable in case they have another Quench in hand. Opponent levels up the talents, which is now maybe the bigger priority. So, let's see, this makes double red. So I can actually answer both. Defeat plus Helix if I tap carefully. Let's see, do I have enough colored mana, I guess is the question. Yeah, never mind, I guess I only have 1 white, and then this is either white or black. So I can't quite answer both. So, in that case, can I undo tapping tablet? I guess I cannot. Okay, so then I guess we go Cornucopia into Inevitable Defeat. Answer the talent. And then next turn we can deal with Gran. They still haven't found their Monument to Endurance, which is how they're usually planning to win the game. They do have a draw 3 here with Accumulate Wisdom. And finds another talent. Opponent's gonna pass it back. So I'll start with a tablet, I think. Let's see, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Could also bait out something with a Helix on Gran, and then still together as one. But I think I'm better off waiting a bit longer to set that up. So play another tablet. And then probably just play that one tapped. Plan to answer Gran in their upkeep. Or I can go for another tablet. but I'm not going to be able to cast whatever I mill. Opponent's going to abandon attachments. Sure. Another accumulate wisdom. And another abandon attachments. Alright, probably take out Gran now. They had another one, unsurprisingly. Another attachment, so they still haven't found the monument. And they've seen about half of their deck. Another wisdom, so that's the third one. And there's a monument. Alright, so that's the win condition paired with Artist's Talent. So would not mind finding my destroy creature artifact enchantment with a necropsy. Again, together as one. Probably going face as opposed to targeting Gran at this point. Got a Helix as well. So I'll draw 5 and deal 5. And there's a necropsy. So cast this before they can keep up a counterspell. And then, let's see, you can also play Sanctum. So I can still burst lightning. So artifacts, creature, and then enchantments. Probably go for the Storm Chaser's Talent, which can get back accumulate wisdom. And then 5 mana value. I might want to keep Burst Lightning to play Kicked. Opponent levels up the talents. Plays a monument. So they can still go back on the burn plan with the monuments. And they've got another one. Okay, do I want to Burst Lightning the Otter? I'm thinking I can maybe animate Great Hall, point some burn spells at their face. So that would be 5 mana. I mean, yeah, opponent's gonna scoop it up here, maybe a bit premature, but yeah, I was just doing the math. They could also keep the Otter token back on defense. They could also make Treasure with the Monument to maybe cast a few more spells. But we were in pretty good shape to get the game over with our opponent at 12. They've already seen a good chunk of their deck, and even if they get the Monument down, we can maybe find some more answers in the form of more copies of Inevitable Defeat. The Revelation could maybe bounce it and set them back a bunch. So I felt pretty confident in this spot, but you never know. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the draw. We have what looks like a Keeper, can Burst Lightning early, and then Tablets to maybe set up an early together as one. Passage probably needs to name green, so that if I draw Cornucopia, I can actually cast it. And a Scorn Mage from our opponents. So I could be tempted to now just play a tapped Monastery. Could also immediately Burst Lightning this. There is a chance this triggers twice next turn and I won't be able to Burst Lightning it anymore. Opponent red-black. Yeah, you know what, let's just take it out now. And then next turn I can play my tapped Monastery. No pressure on turn 2. So the hope is that they have a bunch of creature removal in hand that they were planning to use to trigger their creatures. Okay, so now we can deploy the tablet. And then next turn I can already together as one with a full converge. Although I guess never mind, since we have basic mountain and tablet, we would be a color short. Now sellsword, so they are on the fling build and are going to give it haste to immediately attack here. Fair enough. So if I play Deathcap Glade, I will have access to Necropsy. And then next turn we can together as one with a full converge, which is maybe worth a wait. And with Cease Desist in the graveyard, we can easily collect evidence a bunch. A Wild Ride again, that's fine. Opponent goes to attackers, no blocks. And then before damage, we can take it out. And then still need to exile Cease Desist. Okay, opponent's got to turn inside out to at least leave them with a Manifest Dread. That's fine. And time to cast this one. I'll draw 5, take that out, gain 5. Can maybe still draw Burst Lightning and cast it. We'll have to discard to hand size, Stomping Ground can go. So my hand's not exciting, it's all lands and a tablet. Can always animate the Great Hall. Put it now with Challenger into full bore. 1 card in hand, double Wild Ride in the graveyard, and it was another full bore. So we're taking 10. Alright, if they had a Flinga left in hand, I could have been dead. So now go for tablets. Thinking twice about which colors I want to leave up. This seems fine. And that's a land. So then, what else can I mill with a tablet that would be useful? Or am I better off playing a Great Hall? It's 5 mana to animate, so that's not happening yet. So then, is there anything else I could mill with a tablet that would be useful? If I leave up white, I could hit a Lightning Helix, which would be great. So maybe it is worth it to try. Alright, Burst Lightning I'll take. And then I can play Tapped Citadel. And that's another land. So probably want to start animating the Great Halls now. And I can play another one to animate both. Cornucopia is better than a land, I guess. So I'll get in with 1 Great Hall, leave 1 on defense. And our opponent scoops it up, alright. They did not know we necessarily were holding 5 lanes, otherwise they probably would have played on for a bit longer. But I'll take it. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the draw, missing a red mana. Although once I cast Cornucopia, I can cast a tablet, which gets me close to Revelation. So, on the draw, I think I try this. Turn 1, Paw Patch Recruit. So yeah, the next 2 draw steps are going to be pretty important. Alright, found our red mana. Can play it now. So then we can go Cornucopia into Burst Lightning, or maybe get the tablet going, which gets me closer to Revelation. Sirak's a good one. So we have another land lined up. So I don't have to play the tablet now, I can wait a turn. We'll see what else they play before deciding what to burst lightning, if anything. This could be an Ouroboros turn. It's going to be a practiced offense. Yeah, that's going to hurt. So I don't really want to go after the Paw Patch, since then Serac hits even harder. Would still, I guess if I do it after first strike, save me a bit of damage overall. So maybe it's still worth it. Assuming they don't have a protection spell. Alright, so then we take 6 with regular damage. But yeah, I could just be dead here, since I cannot cast the Necropsy with only 1 mana value in the graveyard. So I need to hit something off tablets. Although I guess I would also gain life, but the opponent can just flash back the offense. So yeah, just didn't have the right answer in time. So I think it's tablets. And then what am I hoping to mill? I guess there's the Mardu removal spell that could still do it if I play Blood Crypt. Don't know if there's much else. A land is not going to be good enough. So if I shock in Blood Crypt, I can Necropsy to gain 2. I guess I could have also milled something expensive to set up the Necropsy in the first place, but that didn't happen. So now I think we're just dead if our opponent goes for it. And I could even animate a land with Basing Say, which is maybe less risky than giving Serac double strike. It is an Ouroboros, so that would technically be enough. But yeah, if I had any instant to cast, I could have maybe gained life of Cornucopia to survive, and then Revelation has a chance of stabilizing me. So we were actually not too far from doing it. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the play. We have a functional hand, can cast a Helix on 2, Explosion on 4, and then we've got our big card draw effect on 6. Hoping to find one of our 8 3-mana ramp artifacts, basically. Bone onto red-white. Looks to be more aggressive with a Voice of Victory, which I'm not going to be able to Helix until my turn. But I'm happy to take it out here. So they're presumably on the red-white Mobilize Tokens deck. Cornucopia is a nice pickup. So I can go Cornucopia into another Helix. And gaining 5 life this time. And then next turn together as 1. War Leader's Call I'm not going to be able to destroy just yet. Now Revelation is close to bouncing it. But yeah, I think we still take this opportunity. I'll draw 5, deal 5. I've not gotten punished too much by using the autopay feature to cast the converge spells. But you could always play it safe and tap manually. Alright, so I could now Revelation the War Leader's Call. Could also defeat it. Yeah, maybe I go Tablet plus defeat this turn. Another Tablet. Let's see, if I play another Tablet, I guess I can still play defeat. Alright, I guess we'll give up on the explosion. We've got enough card draw in hand. Opponent's got another voice, that's gonna force the issue. Gain 3 more of Cornucopia, up to 38 now. And yeah, opponent's not gonna like what's coming. So if I want a Revelation in the opponent's turn, I'll need to Helix now. Can also start thinking about Great Hall getting animated. And yeah, that's one too many copies of Lightning Helix for the opponent to deal with. But we could pass with Revelation, bounce whatever spell they play next, and then we can close it out pretty quickly with our Prowess Monk tokens, especially paired with a Great Hall to deal additional damage. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the play with a reasonable hand, I would say. Can already decide on Multiversal Passage, so we can play it tapped on 1. I'm thinking probably black, since I need it for my 2 interactive spells. So we limit how much life we have to pay to the Great Hall. Does mean I wouldn't be able to play turn 2 Lightning Helix if I draw it, but that's okay. So now I think we like Mountain to set up the tablet. Opponent with a Multiversal Passage on red, so it could be maybe a blue-red Prowess deck. Or dragons. Alright, so at least our opponent will have some creatures for us. And this turn play Tablet of Discovery. Small chance I mill a Burst Lightning I can still cast. So our opponent can already play a 4-mana dragon. Could have waited to play the Great Hall in case they have the Hellkite that blows up lands. But we have another one in hand, so I'm not too worried. So now the Dragonlord Servant discounting dragons by 1. I think I'm still waiting to deal with the actual dragons as opposed to dealing with the enablers. So this turn I can just play tap Blood Crypt and pass. The Maelstrom can find another dragon, and there's a Nova Hellkite, a warped enabling Sarkhan, and another one, also warped. Okay, I think we still defeat the Hellkite, even though there's a chance I could pulse 2 of them. It's a little bit too much damage coming my way. And then better to deal with Sarkhan at sorcery speed. Another Great Hall. So I am missing one of our big finishers, whether it's Revelation or Together as One. Those are the cards I want to find now. So we'll pulse Sarkhan, keep up Cease Desist. And let's see. Yeah, I guess I don't have any green mana, so I'll have to pay 1 life regardless. Can maybe still play out another Great Hall. So at the very least they can play another Hellkite, smack me for 4. Alright, there's a Revelation, so that can help us stabilize. Can I play another tablet first? 4, 5, 6, 7, I can. And I need to make sure I have blue mana up. Depending on what I mill, it might affect my sequencing. I'll give up on another tablet. So I'll have to pay 1 life to make blue mana. But then I can still Revelation, presumably bouncing the Hellkite. Opponent goes to attackers. So return this, deal 4 to the Servant. Could be that to double Lightning Helix. That works. We do have a Great Hall, we can also animate to start beating down. And Together as One was a great draw. So now, probably just converge. So make some red, white, black, blue, and green. I would gain 5 up to 9. And I've got more spells I can cast to trigger Prowess. including a kicked burst lightning. Opponent maybe has another burn spell left. That's all lands. That's impressive. So play lands and then kick burst lightning would put them to 6, that to the monk tokens. But they have a treasure and they seem to have another burst lightning in hand themselves. But maybe that's fine if they are forced to take out a monk. Then I'm pretty unlikely to die next turn. And I still have a cease desist. If I go for cease desist, what happens? They would maybe burst lightning the monk in response. Then I can still burst lightning. So then we end up with a pair of 4 force and 2 damage. I guess that would be lethal. So I can maybe try my luck this way. If they never had a burst lightning to begin with, then I guess it didn't matter, but I'm gonna try to go for it now. Alright, and our opponent scoops it up, I'll take it. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the draw. This hand is missing 1 land, especially one that can make blue or green. But I can Helix on 2, any third land plays tablets, and then we're not far from Arcane Omens. So I'll give it a shot. Opponent on Kona combo. Alright, so 3 damage from Lightning Helix is a way to answer Kona. So that's going to be important. Hoping they do not have Lost in the Maze to protect it. Although Necropsy could be an answer to the enchantment as well. Opponent's got to stock up on 3, so yeah, for all we know, they could already combo off next turn. Less likely on a mulligan, but not impossible. Which means I kind of have to respect it, and I may not be able to play the tablet here. And then maybe next turn I can risk it. Opponent's got a Formidable Speaker to find Kona, so they maybe didn't have one in hand already. Or if they already have Kona, they can go for the River Regent. Discards a bounce off, gets Kona. A land is very useful, so now I can play Cornucopia and still keep up Helix. And then Arcane Omens is looking good. Alright, there's Kona. Opponent's going to station their land. And as soon as I get priority, we can Helix. So no survival ability for you. And how about no cards in hand for you either? They only have 3 in hand to begin with. So I can play tablets and then still Omens for the remaining 3 cards at least. Cease Desist can stay in the graveyard. So discard 4. They had Omniscience, Lost in the Maze and Regent, so they actually had a very good chance of just winning on the spot. Bounce off, pick up Speaker, but if they replay it, they're empty-handed, so they cannot search up another Kona. So that didn't quite pan out. Alright, and then now Together as One or Revelation. Maybe Revelation first, so we can actually start beating down. Opponent found a stock up, so let's Revelation. Bounce the stock up, deal 4 to your Speaker. And then Together as One can go face, and yeah, opponent scoops it up. Awesome. So yeah, we got to see this 5-color Converge control deck in action, and I was quite pleased with how the deck handled a wide variety of archetypes. Seems like it's got a good mix of interaction that can not only deal with creatures, but some non-creature permanents, and then plenty of card draw, a lot of life gain as well to help out against aggro, and then we usually have enough value to outgrind other control decks as well. and then eventually we can close out the game with some prowess monk tokens or maybe the Great Hall. We are pretty low on win conditions, admittedly, so opposing control decks that can focus in and just deal with our few win conditions can maybe make life hard, and then it's going to maybe come down to decking. So those are the games we typically want to avoid, but against any more proactive strategies, we usually have all the answers we need. So yeah, that's going to do it for today's gameplay. Want to thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed, and as always, have a nice day.